are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast from Dylan at Dylan Larck on Twitter. Here to talk about the latest in Auburn basketball news, as today marks Auburn's first game of the March Madness tournament, taking on Alabama State, who won their play-in game off of a game-winning shot. And, with this game, Auburn will be playing at 1:50 p.m. on CBS. Auburn's currently a 32-point favorite, with the ESPN FBI giving Auburn a 99% chance to win. And if you look at Alabama State, they're a very athletic team that shoots the ball pretty well. They started the year off pretty crappy, if I must say. But they're on a 7-game winning streak, of course, winning the SWAC and clinching their spot in the March Madness bracket. So Auburn, in all regards, should win this game. Auburn should not be primed for another first-round exit unless they absolutely just choke. Now, based on what the players are saying, Auburn's entire roster, they're hyped up. They feel that disrespected by how their season ended. Auburn has a chip on their shoulder. We talked about, out of the last 4 games Auburn has played, they only won 1 of them, and that was against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. But the A&M game, the Bama game, and the Tennessee game, you got whooped. You got beat where you thought you were the toughest at. Rebounding needs to be a factor in this game. Which when I look at this, Auburn has the talent level. It's a very staunch difference between the two. Of course, you have the National Player of the Year nominee in Janai Broome, who's gonna be a focal point. But I think when you look at this game, you got to look at the guard play, because that was what's been a little antsy as of late. Denver, Miles, and Tahad haven't been scoring all that much in the past few games. I think you got to look towards them to kind of find their spark. You got to find a way to get them prepared for the next game. Because, if you win this one, you got Louisville or Creighton up next. If you win that one, you might have Texas A&M, you might have Yale, you might have Michigan, you might have UC San Diego. And in those games, you're going to have guard play that is playing up to the challenge. I think Alabama State can give Auburn a run for their money if Auburn allows them to. On the year, you're looking at they have 3 guys who are averaging 10 points or more. Amar Knox is currently leading them with 14.4 points per game, being one of their leaders from the three-point line at 30% and shooting 40% from the field. They also, I want to say they shoot the free throws better than Auburn does, but as a team they don't. 69 to Auburn 74, which that's going to be another thing about this tournament is, I've mentioned it on the Tuesday show. One of Auburn's biggest weaknesses going into this tournament is the fact that they have been struggling from the free throw line. And if you have that big of an advantage between you and Alabama State, it might be time for you to start trying to draw some fouls and see, kind of test the waters of what the refs will let you get away with. But Auburn needs to be able to score from all fronts if they want to be able to do what they want to do. They feel like they can. There are 6 games they have to win to reach what their goal was this season. That's a national championship. And along that way, you're gonna have teams that you've played before and have, frankly, took over you. A&M is in this current region with you. Florida is gonna be in your way if you want to make it past the Final Four. You got Duke on the other side of the bracket, who, most people are picking them to win the national championship. And, of course, in that same bracket is Alabama. And in the bottom region, you got Tennessee. There's a good chance Auburn could meet, if they make it that far, could meet 3 teams that beat them this year. 4 teams, on their way to a national championship. But in the Final Four, you could play 3 of them. So when I see Auburn in this game, again, you have a very, very massive advantage in terms of talent, in terms of production, in terms of everything points to this being an Auburn win. But again, like last year, that Yale game left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And now Alabama State's not going to be a team that's going to light it up from the 3-point line. That's just not what their game is. They're going to try to crash in. They're going to try to drive in on you. And I think Auburn is built to stop that. But if if Alabama State walks out in the court and they feel confident they can take down Auburn, which I mean, if you don't feel confident you can win any game in March Madness, I don't know what to tell y'all. You just probably shouldn't have been there. Alabama State's going to give Auburn a run for their money early. If Auburn, because I mean they have already played a game more recently than Auburn has, so there's a good chance that could play to a factor there. But again, talent-wise, this game should be all Auburn all the time. Based off of how the regular season went, this game should be all Auburn all the time. But you got to watch out for a hot streak. You cannot let them get by. You cannot have bad shot selection offensively. You can't just start throwing up threes. If Miles Kelly has missed the first 4 he shot, he can't start shooting 4 more in hopes that he makes a couple. It can't happen in March. That cannot happen. You have to put up points, but you need to put it up in a way that makes it, I don't know, smart. Todd Pettiford, of course, against Tennessee, 0 of 8 from the field, 0 of 5 from the 3-point line. You got to be smart with the basketball, and it starts with the number 16 seed. But I mean, after this game, you're not playing the 127th team in the country. You're playing against Louisville or Creighton. You're playing against A&M or Yale or Michigan or even UC San Diego. After that, you got probably Michigan State in the 2 seed. And any of those teams really could fit into that square. After that, you probably got to look at Florida. After that, you would probably have to play against Alabama or Duke or Tennessee or Houston. The going is going to get tough, and it's up to Auburn to get tougher, and it's up to Auburn to not play yourself out of a game, to not shoot yourself out of a game. Against Yale, that's what Auburn did. Auburn shot themselves in the foot for so long that there was no chance of them winning. You got to be smart. You also got to be smart when it comes to the refs. Don't get yourself thrown out of any games. I haven't seen enough of I mean, today and tomorrow will be a good opportunity to kind of see where the refs gauge in this. I don't know if Pat Adams is in March Madness. I assume he is, just because why not? But it'll be a good judge to see where Auburn stands. Auburn is a team that likes to, foul. And when it comes down to that, Auburn's going to have to find a way to not get themselves in foul trouble early. Against Tennessee, I mean, Dylan Cardwell had 2 fouls within the first 11 minutes. And luckily, he only got 1 for the remainder of that game and finished the game at 3. But whenever you only have, Dylan Cardwell as being your primary the guy in the paint, and then you got to move Janai down, which puts Auburn disadvantage rebounding-wise because you only got 1 big who is as tall as Dylan Cardwell is. And when Janai Broom has to play that 5 role, you can kind of see where he gets knocked out of the paint. He doesn't get a chance to get his offensive rebounds because he's getting blocked out so much. Dylan Cardwell does have, I think, more skill offensive rebounding-wise. I just don't think you get to see it more often because, Auburn's a really good team. So, in this game, I'm going to pick the Auburn Tigers because I feel like it'd be very dumb for me to sit down and say Auburn will not win the first game of the tournament. I don't think you're going to see another first-round exit, knock on wood. But after this game, you're going to have to play your best basketball you've played. Correction. Starting this game and finishing on April 8th, just to be safe, April 8th, Auburn has to play their best basketball they possibly can. And with that, you can see Auburn cutting down the nets. It starts today, though, with Alabama State. I've been watching March Madness and Auburn long enough to know that 32-point spread is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not going to pick Auburn to win by 30 points. I will be picking Auburn to win probably by 10 to 15. I would probably have to go. Let's go like a nice Auburn 88 to 72. I mean, that's a little bit. That's 16-point win. I'll get with that. I'm not putting my money on an Auburn athletics team to put up 32 points over. I mean, I couldn't even, if Auburn football was playing against a team and that was the spread, I don't even know if I could take that, depending on who the team was. It had to be like a high school team. But in March, I am not taking a 32-point spread. It is not happening. So with that, that's going to do it for this installment of College Loop. The course March Madness means we're going to be talking Auburn basketball every day, all the time, pretty much. We'll be doing a recap and review after this game, probably either tomorrow or Saturday, and and hopefully have preparation of a second round game versus Louisville or Creighton. Check out Auburn softball, able to get a massive win over South Alabama. And I say massive win, I mean a much-needed win off a walk-off by Annalee Adams, absolute dog of a freshman. Auburn baseball was able to get a win versus Alabama State this week, and Auburn gymnastics starting the SEC championships this week as well. So shout out all of Auburn athletics, of course, this weekend. SEC games still going on for Diamond Athletics, but Auburn football, Auburn basketball, gonna be the main focus for days of the games. So that Auburn basketball 88-72 over Alabama State cannot have the first round exit. I don't know what my mental sanity would be if I have to come back on here and talk about Auburn losing in the first round to Alabama State. I don't imagine it would be very high. And I would probably have to find a way to start bleeping myself on the show if Auburn loses to Bama State. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can't say I'm not a little nervous. With that, thanks for some of the College Loop podcast. Again, short show, just a preview show. I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLNLRCK. Check me out right in the College Loop podcast. If you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow the social media platforms, literally all of them: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The works all is the College Loop, and of course, you guys on the audio version of the show as well on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Check us out there. But with that being said, that's why the start of the College Loop podcast yet again. And as always, War Eagle.